So it took me 6 years of trial and error to figure out Facebook ads. But honestly, you can learn it all in about a week. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I'm saying this because after generating over $100 million from Facebook ads for my clients and over $15 million for my own businesses, I realized that the gap between ads that lose money and ads that print cash comes down to 5 very important skills. Now, the good news is that they're all actually super simple to learn. So if I could go back and start from scratch in 2026 with everything that I know now, how would I actually learn Facebook ads? That's a question I asked myself, and I thought it would be super cool to make a video on it and share with you guys exactly what I would do. So today, I'm gonna give you all of the sauce when it comes to learning meta ads from scratch and put everything into a roadmap you can just follow and learn all 5 of these skills within a week. The first thing I would learn is actually how to set up a campaign in meta ads in 2026. Because let me tell you, the ads manager is always changing. So if you're watching an outdated video, it's not going to help you at all. You need to actually get into the platform, start setting up campaigns, and learning how it actually works by doing it. And when it comes down to Facebook ads, there are really only a few things you need to understand to get started. The first one is the campaign setup. You need to know the difference between campaign objectives, because if you pick the wrong one, you're basically telling Meta to optimize for the wrong thing, and that's just gonna blow your money. And the sad part is, I see this all the time, where people pick a traffic campaign when actually what they want is leads, and then they wonder why they're getting a bunch of clicks but nobody's converting. For most businesses, you want to be running either a lead campaign or an engagement campaign. The second thing is your creative. This one is kind of common sense. And keep in mind, this is the part that most people actually overthink, where in reality, that's the exact opposite of what you need to do. I'm not even kidding. The simpler your ad looks, the better it's going to perform. Because at the end of the day, a good offer beats the best video creative every single time. Like for one of my clients, for instance, it was a dog trainer, and the ad that crushed it for her was literally a before and after video of a German Shepherd losing his mind on a leash into the same exact dog walking through an airport with no leash. Shock factor into a dream outcome. And I kid you not, we still run that exact ad to this day after 3 years, and I actually made a full video breaking that down, showing you exactly why that simple, boring concept actually made it work. If you want to watch that after this video, I'll leave a link up here. But back to the point, just focus on the message and don't get caught up in making your ads look super polished. The third thing is knowing how much to spend before you can tell if something is actually working. For example, I have a rule for this that I never break. If I spend 2.5 times the price of what I'm selling and I haven't gotten a single sale, I shut it off and move on. It's really that simple. So if the product, let's say, is $10,000, I'm gonna spend $25,000 to test it. And if there's no sale by then, something needs to change and I move on, because the math already gave me the answer. I'm running it based on logic, not hopes and dreams. And that's pretty much it for ads. You can learn all of this in 2 to 3 days if you're actually focused. People make it seem like you need months to figure out meta ads, but you really don't. Now, the second thing I'd learn is funnels, because running the ad is actually half the battle. You also need somewhere to send people once they actually click. And this is where majority of people actually mess up, because they'll run a solid ad and then send traffic to some page that makes no sense, or they'll use a lead form asking 15 questions that nobody is filling out, and then they wonder why their ads are not working. So the first thing I would do is figure out what my business actually needs. Because when it comes down to funnels, you really only have 2 paths, and the one you pick changes everything about how your leads come in. If I need volume and speed, like I'm, for example, a home service company and I just need as many leads as possible hitting my phone, I'm gonna go with an instant form right inside of Facebook. These are super easy to set up. They pre-fill the person's info. You don't really have to do anything, and you can have leads coming in within an hour of launching your ad. Now, the key with these is keeping them short, like 2, maybe 3 questions max. So maybe you ask for their name, phone number, and maybe 1 or 2 qualifying questions if you need it, or an email address that you can hit them with marketing emails. But we'll leave that conversation for another video. But essentially, the more fields you add, the more people drop off. So keep it super short, simple, and just get the information you need to make contact. Now, the trade-off with instant forms is that because they're so easy to fill out, the leads aren't always going to be the most qualified. So your follow-up speed becomes super important. And if you're not hitting those leads within the first 5 minutes, someone else will, and that's where automations come in, which we'll get to next. But if you'd rather have fewer leads that actually are warmed up and ready to talk, that's when you want to build a landing page. And the reason landing pages work differently is because the person actually has to click through, read the page, and take action to submit their info. You can even add an additional tier of getting them to put in a one-time passcode sent to their phone. So by the time they come through, they already have a pretty good idea of who you are, what you do, their phone number is legit, which means they're way more likely to actually convert. Now, the thing that makes or breaks a landing page is actually super simple. What you promised in the ad has to be the first thing they see when they land on that page. And I see people every day running ads that say, for example, like free quote, and then the landing page hits them with a 2,000-word essay about how the company was founded in 2014. Like, you guys, they wanted a quote, not your origin story. But after that, it's just about making it super clear what they're getting and making it easy for them to take the next step. So really, all you need is one clear headline, one solid offer, one short form, and you'll be super good to go. And again, you can learn all of this in 2 to 3 days if you're actually focused. Now, the third thing I'd learned, and this one ties everything together, is how to follow up with all those leads automatically. Because what happens to most people is they start running ads, leads are coming in, and they're super excited about it. But then they realize that they can't keep up with all of them. And by the time they actually reach out, the person already forgot that they even signed up or they purchased from someone else. So what I use for all of this is GoHighLevel. I would personally recommend it for pretty much everybody because it handles your CRM, text follow-ups, email sequences, calendars, your pipeline, basically everything you need to turn a lead into a paying customer all in one place. And the nice part about it is that once you set it up, it just runs on its own. So a lead comes in from your ad, they automatically get a text, then they receive an email, then a reminder to book a call gets triggered, and all of that happens without you having to touch anything at all. And this is the part that connects the ads to actual revenue. Because if you run the best ads in the world and have the best funnel, but if nobody is actually following up fast enough, you're just paying for leads that are never gonna turn into actual cash. And I promise you guys, this is not as complicated as it sounds. 2 to 3 days of actually sitting down and building it out, and you'll have a setup that follows up with every single lead automatically while you focus on actually running your business. Now, the fourth thing, and you guys, this one is probably the most important thing that I'm gonna say in this entire video. So if there's one takeaway, this is it. The one skill I wish I knew from day one is sales. And I know that might sound weird in a video about meta ads, but hear me out. You can have terrible ads, a bad funnel with the worst leads coming in, but if you know how to sell, you're going to make money regardless. And I learned this the hard way because for the longest time, I kept telling myself that I'm not a salesperson and I don't want to be that guy. And that kept me stuck for way longer than it needed to. So the way I finally figured this out is actually a hell of a story. At that point, our goal for the month was 100,000 and we were sitting at about $88,000. We were like 3 days away from the end of the month and I was about $12,000 short from hitting our goal. Now, I take my goals very seriously. They're not just a number on like a whiteboard. Now, keep in mind, back then, I was only charging about $3K to run someone's ads. And I had 2 meetings that morning, one at 10 and one at 10:30. So for the first time, I was behind on my number and I didn't have to do my usual hour-long calls. And these are back-to-back 30-minute meetings. So I jump on the first call and I just tell the guy, I've got another meeting in about 30 minutes, so let's go through everything. If we are a good fit, then we'll get you onboarded. And it's really that simple. And right before I get to the pricing slide, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm $12,000 away from my goal. What if I just pitched that? So I just pitched $12,000 instead of my usual $3,000 for the exact same thing. And surprisingly, the guy said yes. That was my first 5-figure deal ever. So the 10:30 meeting comes around and I'm just hyped. I thought that I'd just give that another shot by pitching $12,000. And guess what? They also paid. That's how I realized my pricing was way too low this entire time. And the only reason I was charging $3K was because I kept telling myself that I'm not worth much more than that. The thing was, at that point, we had case studies on case studies and genuinely delivering an insane result for all of our clients, where they would make an ROI sometimes in the first month. So 1,000%, if I could go back, I would learn sales from day one. The ads, funnels, automations are all super important. But at the end of the day, sales is what actually determines how much money you make. Now, everything I just walked you through, I go super deep on all of it inside my free course, Click to Client. I'll leave a link down below in the description where you can find it. And there's one more gem I want to give you guys real quick, and this one is a mistake that I made that genuinely cost me years. Because when my business was doing around $700,000 a month, our profit was sitting somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000. Today, I make the exact same profit, but my revenue is less than half of what it used to be. And that is exactly where you want to be because you're making the same money with half the effort and half the people to manage. I used to think the bigger the revenue number, the more successful I was, but that was a lie. Revenue, honestly, is just a number on a screen. It doesn't matter. What actually matters is what you keep at the end of the month. And I spent years chasing that top line when I should have been focusing on keeping more of what I'm already making. So keep in mind, when you're building your business, whether it's an agency, e-commerce, whatever it may be, watch your profit from the jump. That's all that matters. Don't wait years to figure this out like I did. And that's pretty much it, you guys. If you take one thing away from this video, it's that this stuff is not as hard as people make it seem. A week of actual work and you can be up and running. The only thing standing between you and your first profitable campaign is whether or not you're actually willing to sit down and just do it. Now, if you guys want to see the full story of how I went from $14,500 in debt and Googling how to deposit a check to generating over $100 million with Facebook ads, I made a whole video on that and I'll leave it on the screen right now. Thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.